Hi, I'm Ed Professor Tom, and I talk about sales, advertising, leadership, and the truth. We've been talking the past few weeks about consultative selling and what that means, and last week we discussed holistic thinking. This week I'd like to talk about that second phase, and that's connective thinking. You've had a good client needs analysis when you sat down with them and you asked great questions and you overtly tried to find out all of the things that are impeding the flow of their business. Connective thinking is somewhat more cerebral because of the fact that it's not an overt action but a thought process. It's easy to develop a list of good questions for a client, but not as easy to figure out how to connect them. It is a skill and you're going to have to develop it. And the way you do it is by changing the way you look at other meetings outside of client meetings, particularly the ones in which you are doing networking. I'm thinking like Chamber of Commerce after-hours mixers. I'm talking about networking forums, luncheons, Business Network International, if you're familiar with BNI. These are all places in which BNI is different, but the other places aren't as easily understanding that what you do there is seek to make connections that maybe not necessarily benefiting you. BNI is very good with that, but the others, many people just come to these events just to have a drink and do something social before heading home for the evening, and don't necessarily take a deliberate look at how to be a great connector. If you go to these events and are volunteers, that's one great way. But other times when you're just a participant, go to a meeting and determine that it's successful if you've been able to gain a new contact. Not one that will necessarily buy product from you, but one in which you can eventually connect them with somebody else. These things take time and the right kind of timing when you actually make the connection. But if you can build your network of people and be willing to trust them, and them being trustworthy enough is important, but be willing to trust them in a place where you're handing your fragile client relationships over, you can make great networking connections by way of these meetings. Sometimes it's as simple as the people who are already doing business with you or you're doing business with as a connection, but sometimes it's not. Maybe you don't know a good plumber. Maybe you don't know a good CPA, as I mentioned in the video last week. Make sure you figure out where the connections need to be made that aren't already in your circle, whether you need it for your business or not, and maybe you'll be able to connect that to other people. As I said, timing is crucial. You need to be able to develop the skill of knowing who to connect with whom and at what interval. It's very easy when a client slams their phone down and says, I need a new CPA, to be able to say, aha, I have a business card in my folder, let me hand it to you, can I ask them can I ask them to call you? When you do make that connection, please make sure that you're taking care of both parties. You don't want to ruin either relationship on account of your inability to actually connect well. If you do that, you're on your way. And the third aspect that we'll talk about next week is going to be much easier.